All right. Hi, everybody. This is Bethany Hughes with the S. Fowler Academic Library, Menominee Public Library, and it is Breathe and Bead. We are doing our brick stitch hoop earrings. As you can see over there, and Janice is going to lead the way. So, Janice, if you want to get us started.
Sure. Poso, everyone. Welcome back. So good to see everyone. Sun is shining. It's beautiful outside. I'm glad you are taking the chance to stop and breathe and bead today with us. We are going to be working on the brick stitch type of beading. And I was wondering, are we here for half an hour or hour? I forgot.
We have it as an hour now.
Okay.
Yep.
I don't know if I'll take up that much time, but I definitely do have to try and stop a little before 2 or right at 2 because I have another session right at 2. So, okay. So anyway, I have some samples laying out here in front of you. I have my camera hooked up to my laptop, so I'll be able to work using my hands. And then I also have my iPad hooked up so I can see everyone's faces while I'm talking. Everyone has their packages or kits that came with the earrings, and you have some beads, and you have a needle, a couple of needles, would be size 11 sharps, and then size B threads. We're using Delica beads. These are the tubular beads, different from seed beads. I chose to use these for this project because brick stitch is always so fun to do when you've got the Delica tubular beads. They stack up nicely. They sit next to each other real nicely. So the samples you see are some different patterns that I chose. What I'd like to do is to just demonstrate the straight row pattern like this one, because this is easiest for you guys to learn. There's a couple of different steps that you need to do for this pattern. So right now I'll concentrate on this one. When we have time next week, I will go back and show you how to do the variations. Once you're more familiar with how this pattern works, you know, I'll kind of ease you into the different ways you can do the brick stitch. We decided on, we weren't sure what size earrings we were going to get. These are fairly large hoop earrings. It's hard to figure out when you're ordering online what the actual size is going to be. So I understand they're large and you might not wear these this large, but you probably know someone that loves really big hoop earrings. So I know it's hard for me to wear them because I have longer hair, and when I wear my hair down and have big hoops, it's kind of hard for me. So, but not only that, but having this larger hoop will help you learn how to bead on it better. If we started out with smaller hoops, I think you would get frustrated easily. So having these larger hoops will help. There are different colors. We just randomly put different colors into your packets. The sample you see is the coppery colored hoops. I have some silver ones, and so there's some gold ones too. So you get what you get, and you don't throw a fit when it comes to kits. We we give you what we have. So anyway, we appreciate you guys sharing in these projects with us, and we're very, very thankful to be able to provide all of this. And Maria is just great in making sure that this program has the supplies it needs. Library is doing awesome. Bethany's doing wonderful with the electronics, the IT, and the camera part of it. So we're making this work. It's going great. All right, so I'm not going to talk much. I'm going to go ahead and get you started on learning how to begin doing your brick stitch onto your hoops. You're more than welcome to follow along if you want, or you can just sit and watch and take notes and then go back and watch the video. It's going to be a bit difficult to see at times because, you know, my fingers get in the way and the work is kind of small. So I will do my best with trying to easily demonstrate to you in this really small stitch and not get you mixed up, okay? If it does get too frustrating, please, please, please don't get too upset. Put your work down and then maybe just watch, okay? Because we don't want to have these bad feelings put into our work. We need to be stress-free. We need to learn how to breathe and enjoy the process, okay? All right, so I'm going to also have to manually switch my camera focus back and forth because I don't have automatic focus, and I apologize if it becomes unfocused while I'm working. I'll be cognizant of it and try to adjust as I go along, but sometimes someone can speak up and say, hey, I can't see it, it's out of focus, and then I can refocus. All right, so I am right now getting my thread ready. When I went one row around, let's get rid of this one. We're going to work on this one. One row around, I used about 2 arms length plus a little bit extra for the thread. So if you're like me and like to just use one thread and keep going instead of having to switch out and knot, then do the arms lengths, and that will help you. I shouldn't say one, it's all 3 rows is what I should say. I'm sorry, I said that by mistake. All 3 of these rows, I used 1 arm length, 2 arm lengths from hand to shoulder, and then I kind of went a little bit more, maybe like a half of up to my elbow more, just to give me that extra. So that's what I used for that. You can go shorter if you want to. In order to add on thread, if you run out, you just, tie an extra piece of thread on there and then work that through, work your tails through the bead work when you're done. But like I said, I like to use just one long length for the whole thing. So size B thread, size 11 needle, sharps, or 12 will work too. 12 means it's skinnier, so that will go through the beads just fine. 11 works with 11 beads. 11 beads, 11 thread. 11 beads.
Will size 10 work or
10.
no?
10. 10 might be getting a little too fat, but you could give it a try.
Okay.
Delicas are kind of a little more on the narrower side in the holes, but you might give it a try. You might be okay.
All right.
All right, so I'm going to have one long end and one short. I'm not going to double up my thread. I'm only going to use single thread. And I'm going to take, let's see, let me use this one. I'm going to take my hoop and I'm going to tie my thread onto the hoop. You can start on this end or on this end, it doesn't matter. I usually, for some reason, like to go counterclockwise. I don't know why. I do that with my weaving too. I'm going to start here and I'm going to go this way. And then when I get at the end, I flip it and then I go this way. So I'm always working counterclockwise. You can do whatever's comfortable for you. So you're going to take the end of your thread without the needle, and you're going to tie that on the hoop. And I would leave about 5 or 6 inches on the tail. And you tie it once, nice and tight. Kind of maybe what is that, half an inch away, an inch, however much you want to go around with the beads. So I kind of, wanted most of it filled up. So I gave myself some room. I don't know why I went like that. I think maybe so when I flip this out, it gives me some room. I'm not banging into the beads. That's probably why I did that. So you decide. You can even start halfway and just bead down half of the circle. It's up to you. Start where you want to start. So tie one knot, and I've got about 5, 6 inches of tail, and then tie it again. You might even want to do 3 times if you want, but I think 2 times is going to keep it pretty tight. That's the first thing you do. Tie it onto your hoop. Let's see, I'll choose the purple. Oops. You can use any patterns you want. Like I said, to make it easy for you guys, I started with just showing you how to do the 3 strips, the 3 colors, just so you're not confused or working hard with your brain when you're trying to do a pattern. This will help you get going on learning how to do the brick stitch. So starting with my purple, first thing I'm going to do is pick up 2 beads. You always start with 2 beads when you start. Bring the beads down to your work, like so. And this is where I'm gonna have to refocus so you can see. So they're down by my work. And then I'm going to take my needle and I'm gonna go through the middle underneath. Hold on to it with your fingers if you have to. And then pull it up through the hoop. So it looks like this, okay? And then you come up through that second bead, pointing it towards the first bead. Up through just that second bead, pointing it through the first bead, and pull. Now look what happens. I will slowly pull it so you can see. This is actually mounting that bead onto the hook. See what's onto the hoop. See what's happening? So you've got that bead popped up, sitting right on top of the hoop. That first one is sideways, isn't it? Well, here's what you can do to fix that. You can just pull your little tail and rearrange that so it sits straight up on top of that knot. And it will move here and there as you're working, but eventually once you get that second layer on, it's gonna pop it right into where it needs to stay. Okay, so that first bead might want to always slant sideways. Just let it be. It'll fix itself when you get to the second row. Okay, so there's how you start it. Always start it with 2 beads, go under through the hoop, and then come into that second bead, and that places it. Your first one's already placed because of the knot that you made. Your second one is the one that you're going to actually string through. Should I do that again, or everyone understanding that?
Yeah, redo it, please.
Okay.
She got lost. But we
Okay.
getting it.
Yeah, and it's hard to keep track when you're on screen, right? In person,
Yeah.
it's much easier.
Okay. Okay. Hold her weight.
Okay, so do you got the knot, the knot on it? The thread tied
Yeah.
on? Okay.
She just has to go. You go, put it on top, hold it, and then go under.
Okay, so I got my beads on my string and I brought the beads down to the hoop. Let me get the needle back on here. I always got to take my needle off.
And then under.
And then
forward
that's
on.
when you go behind the hoop and put your needle through the hoop so you're in front of the hoop with your needle.
Thank you.
And that's the whole thing that you do the whole while. That's the whole process. You go behind the hoop, pull it through, and then go through the bead. It's the same step over and over. So yeah, it's very important that you understand
no.
the first time.
Same
Okay.
color?
Yeah, 2 colors. I'm doing
Do
the
you go behind? All right. So
okay.
I went.
So
I
I
put
got
my
my beads, got my beads down. Now I'm going to take my needle and go behind the hoop.
Yep. Yep.
Kind of hold it with your fingers so you can
Yep.
bring your hand forward
Yep.
and pull that needle through.
Yep. And go up into your bead, right?
Yeah, now you go up through that second bead and
Yep.
point your needle towards the
Oh,
first
you got to
bead.
go backwards?
Yeah, yeah. Point
I
your
went.
needle towards that first bead, like going
Oh,
back.
because I went the other way with it, my thread.
Yeah, exactly. That's what
Okay, we
meant
did ours
with
wrong.
that little hoop. Take that little hoop, so when you pull it, it pops it right on. See that little loop that you got going? That pops
See,
it.
I went the opposite way.
Yep, that's probably, that makes really a big difference, doesn't it?
Yeah.
This way, right?
We gotta take it out, take it
Oh,
back out.
really? Oh,
There.
Lord.
And then
Okay.
kind of gently rearrange that first bead because it'll want to slide sideways, but it ends up popping up after a while. And you got two little soldiers sitting on top of that hoop. And that's really the whole process. You take another bead, you slide it down to your work,
So then I do.
you go
Okay.
behind the hoop and up through the hoop with your needle. And then you go through that bead that you just put on towards the other beads. Always
Towards
put
the other bead.
towards the other beads.
Yeah, we went the other way.
Yeah,
I
when you
think.
pull, your bead kind of ends up going weird, but eventually once you pull, oops,
Did we get it, Auntie?
I'm still working on
pull,
it.
you'll see it pop right on. See how it's popping right on? Like so,
Okay.
right next to the other one.
So Janice, you don't have to do anything with the tail?
You will eventually. It's
But
gonna
not
just
right now.
be there. We
Okay.
will work it
How
into
are
our
you?
work, just like we do, we hide the tail, so just.
Oh,
leave-
you took it apart?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think I did. Yeah, I'm just gonna go this way now.
Now, I'm gonna show you, some people find ways to be a little more efficient, and I found a way to be efficient with for myself. So this is how I hold on to
Like that?
my hoop. I hold on to it with my whole
Okay,
hand.
now under.
This
No,
way?
the other way. The other way.
Okay.
I put my pinky on front of it, so it keeps it from.
I'm sorry, Janice. I think I accidentally muted you. Janice? I muted you. I'm sorry.
So you don't
There we go.
unmute me. I have to unmute me, huh? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So to be more efficient, I learned how to hold on to mine so I can do it quicker. So I hold on to the whole hoop. I put my pinky in front of it and my thumb on front of it, so it's nice and sturdy. And then I put my thumb almost right to where my beads are. And then I will take a bead, slide it down. I'm still holding on to the bead. I don't have to work it all the way to the bottom there because that's kind of an extra step. I like to just put it on my needle, hold on to it, and then I slide my needle in like that. That holds it. And then I'll pull through, keeping that bead right there. And it's in a spot where it needs to be. And then I go back through underneath.
So we're only putting on one bead after the two beads. We only do
Yeah.
one bead after. Oh,
Yeah.
here I put two on. Okay,
No,
gotcha.
yeah. Every time you start, it's always two beads
Two
and
then one.
yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay, so that's how I figured out how to do it faster. Put a bead on, just slide it down to my needle, insert it into my finger there between the finger and the hoop, and then I will gently pull it. It keeps that bead in place. And then I come back through over the top. And voila. So you figure out a way that's comfortable for you and that makes it more efficient for you, because doing one bead at a time and having lots of string can get quite, what should I say? Things can get tangled, the beads can be ornery. And so try to figure out a way to keep the beads working for you. And also in your hands and the hoop in a position that's comfortable and efficient. And then you'll be able to just zoom along. So I'll let you guys work like that for a few minutes, and then I've got the next step that you can watch. Once we get to the end of this first row, I will show you how to go on to the second row. And that should take us up to the end of session. And then you guys can go ahead and work on the second and third rows. So then when we get back, I can show you how to finish it. Because I think well, I might be able to show you how to finish it. But normally I usually get you guys started, and then the second session, we always finish it. So we'll see how this goes. Does anyone else have any other questions so far? It looks like everyone's getting it. Any observations? So it took me, I forgot to keep track of the time. Probably about 2.5 hours to do one hoop. 2 3/4 hours.
I do like that it's pretty, I mean, other than the fact that you're on a hoop, it's pretty similar to just flat brick stitch. You're not changing too much.
Right.
Which that's nice.
I
My
always
auntie-
think, huh?
My auntie said she got it. She said it's pretty cool. She's getting it.
Awesome.
She's happy.
Yeah, it's nice to learn something new, and when it's starting to look like it's supposed to, it's really awesome.
Where can you order the hoops then?
Maria, where did you
I mean, can you get them like at Joann's or somewhere, or can you have to go to a bead store?
I bought them on Amazon.
Oh, okay.
I think like Walmart has like blank earrings. I don't know if they have like this same style, but I thought they had some.
Yeah, I don't think they have hoops. I think I
Okay.
looked one time, but yeah, these packages probably come from like a manufacturer or a
Mhm.
wholesale, like a
Yeah.
provider. But you know, if
Oh,
you
we're getting it, honey.
go to the store, you might find something at a jewelry place that has plain hoops, like sitting on hooks or something, you know. I went, I was Maria, before you ordered these, or when you ordered them, we weren't sure if they were going to come in right away. So I thought, oh my God, I got to have a backup plan. I wonder if I still got some hoops in my old jewelry box, because I used to wear hoops all the time, back in the 80s. And I have a lot of old jewelry left. So sure enough, I looked in my jewelry box and I found like 6 or 7 pair of hoops. And okay, well, if worst comes to worst, I've got some samples here that I can get started on smaller hoops anyway.
Oh, you got a different color in it. Did you want a different color? That's nice. Take it apart.
Oh dear.
She put a different colored bead in there.
Aw,
That's okay. Take your time. She's getting it though.
good. Oh,
I
and
always thought-
one thing that I notice is that if I make a mistake and they take it apart, I always take my needle off first, and then I pull the thread through, because if you try to poke your needle back through to get the thread off, you end up, or the bead off, you end up going through the thread and it becomes knotted and it's a terrible mess. I know when I used
got
to
it.
work at
got
the tribal school and I was teaching them beading, some of the kids would try to go back through their bead to get a mistake out, and it would get so tangled up, we'd end up having to cut the whole thread off, start over. So I always told them, I said, if you make a mistake, take your needle off and just pull the thread out.
It takes me forever to bead and to thread it down.
It does, doesn't it? You don't want to take it off, right?
I know. I was like, heck with it.
Well, if you can do it with a needle on and just kind of go back through, just make
I
sure
did it.
you don't go through the thread. And lots of times, like if I make a mistake and want this bead off, if I go like this, sometimes I'm going through the thread, literally cutting through it with my needle. And that's what gets you goofed up. So as long as you can do it by not going through the thread, you might be okay with pulling it out.
The other day I went back through and I kept my needle on, and the whole time I'm thinking, I gotta be careful, and I can't tell Janice I did this. I did it, but then I messed up like a little bit after that. I'm like, nope, I'm not risking it this time. And I took the needle off.
That's funny. I got some rough hands going here. I got dirty fingernails. I got a cut on my knuckle.
Oh,
I always wanted to learn how to do this, and now I'm learning. That's cool.
Yay.
I always thought it looked hard. I'm thinking, how the heck do they do that? You know.
Ah,
But I feel if you hang on to that thread right by your thing and pull your thread, it comes down a lot easier.
yeah, you're finding easier ways. That's
Yep.
I might be slow, but I'm getting it.
nice.
Oh dear, I got a different color again.
Let me see. No, that's the same color.
I was gonna ask, I'm sticking with I'm using my own Della because I'm sticking with the black around the edge.
Oh,
Is everybody
cool.
doing different colors, or what's everybody's first layer going?
I just did this one color. It was easier for me since I'm just learning.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
I dug out some other colors too. This
Is
one
that
I'm
right?
doing is black with gold and turquoise.
What did you
Ooh,
do? What did you do here?
nice.
This is
Gotta
going
run
to end
around
up
twice.
being
Yeah.
4 rows. The fourth one is going to be a point. So this is the next
Change
row,
that
and
one. That one
then
has to
go
come
up to
back.
a point. And maybe if I get this sample done, next time we meet, I can show you how to put that top one on, because that's different than doing these other rows.
Yeah. Huh, cool.
That's what these ones are going to look
Okay.
like. All right.
What did you do here? Okay, there's that one.
So I am going to go ahead and
Oh, I see what
move
you
on to
did.
the
You
second
didn't
row.
go through it.
go through it.
Mm.
Now this bead has to come off. That bead has to come off.
Okay, Chantel, do you want to mute yourself then, and I'll go into the next row.
Yep, I muted you, Chantel. You're good.
Let's see, first I need my needle. Am I muted also?
Nope, you're good.
Okay. So I have the first row completely done. This is where I started. This is my tail, it's still loose. And this is that side that I finished. Let me put my needle on. I had to take it off of the other work. Okay, so like I told you, I like to start counterclockwise. So I'm going to flip my work around so it's back over on this side so I can begin my second row. My second row is going to be red. I better scoop up the purples, otherwise they're going to get mixed in with the reds. I still got them on the table here. And remember, when you start rows, you always start with 2. So the same holds true for the second row. Pick up 2 beads. So this is how I finished it. You finish it when coming up in through that last bead. That's how that's going to work. Okay. So now I pick up 2 beads, and I'm going to do it the easy way first so you can see, and then I'm going to switch to my more efficient way. Pick up 2 beads, bring them down to your work. Now there are 2 loops that you're going to pass one loop and then go to the next loop. And what I mean by that is in between these beads is a loop. 1, 2. You're going to go to the second loop. You got 2 beads, go to the second loop. So you put your needle through. Now this would be like going through the hoop, right? But instead of the hoop, now you're going through the loops. Needle through from back to front. And go through that second needle or second bead. towards the first one, just like you did that last process. And then pull. Same thing is going to happen. See, pops up, but your other first bead kind of goes weird on you. So what you do is you go through that first bead and through the second bead, and that sets it up like a little soldier. See how that happens? It lines it up with the second bead. I'll do this over again, but I'll just keep going because the process isn't done. Now you got to get back up into that second red bead, right? Because just start your next bead. So you go through the third bead and up through that second bead. And that gets you started to go on to the next one. And then it's the same process again, picking up a bead, going through the loop. It's one bead at a time after that. Okay, I'll do that again. I'll take off my needle. It's kind of harder to unthread these ones because they zigzag through some of the other beads on the first row. But if you ever make a mistake at this part and need to take it off, gently figure out where your threads are to yank on them to pull them out, because like I said, they zigzag back and forth and then you lose track of where that thread is coming out of. Gets a little confusing sometimes. So bear with me and then I'll do the process over again. I can't just pull it out because it's not going to just come out by itself. It's really tight in there because of the zigzagging that happens when you do this part of it. So I kind of went under here to the third one. Find that. Oh, there it is. Come back up through. Second one. Kind of like pulling it backwards. I'm doing the backwards version. So this is the only confusing part of doing the second row. This is how I learned how to do it. And I do it this way because then it avoids having a string on the side of the first red bead. If you don't do it this way, you will have a string on the side of the first red bead. So in order to hide that, you got to do this 2 beads. And then that'll help not have that string on the side of the first bead. If you only do 1 bead and try to do it, you'll get that string. So you do the 2 beads and you won't get that string. And I would show you an example what I mean by that, but I'm not set up to show you that. So just believe me when I say, if you don't want strings to show, put on 2 beads at a time in the beginning. All right, I'm gonna do it
When you
again.
came through that thread under that second loop, are you gonna always be going under a loop of thread, or is that only to set it up?
No, you'll always be doing the next loop and then the next loop and then the next loop, 1 bead at a time.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, yeah.
Well,
All right, so I put my 2 beads on. We started the second row. I'm going to skip 1 loop and go to the second loop, and I'm going to come through it. So you're going through the second and third beads really is what you're doing, okay? And bring your needle through. And then come up through that second bead towards the first one, like you're going in backwards, just like you did with the first purple row. And then pull it, and then that's going to pop it right in place like so. Now your red one is the one that always gets crooked. So you go through the red first bead and push it. So your needle goes into the second purple bead. So what you're doing is you're saying, hey, first red bead, get in place there. And he's saying, I can't, I need to have something to help me move over. So needle, move me over, needle, pop into that second purple so I can sit where I need to sit. And then you pull it through. And look at that, how nicely they sit next to each other now. Now I need to get back up to this second red because that's where I need to begin doing my other beads. So I come through the third purple needle bead to come up through that second red one. Now I'm ready to keep going with my second row. Pick up a bead, go through that next loop you see. Oops, I got a little knot going on my thread, which always happens when you want to try to do things smoothly. Go through the loop and then come up through the bead. See what it does? Okay, I'll keep going. Pick up a bead, go through the next loop that's next to it. And then come back through the bead. And pops it right in place. And that's it. You just keep going on with the second row. So the first row, you're going around the hoop. The second row, you're going through the loop. So technically, it's hitching on to the thread of the first beads, the thread of the first row. It's stacking it right on top. Kind of like what bricks do. They stack on top of each other, right?
So you only have to go through the purple beads at the beginning of that row to start to anchor it.
Yeah, just to anchor and to get back to where you need to be. That first bead that goes crooked, you got to get that thing straightened out. So that's why you got to zigzag and, you know, go through the second bead, come up through the third bead, go through the second bead, zigzagging it up. I could draw it for you too if you want, if that kind of helps.
I think I understand it. It's good to see you do it several times. I appreciate that.
Right, right. That's what, and then I'll just do the drawing quick because that will help you. It will help be, it'll be on the video, recorded video, and then you guys can refer back to it. Okay, so we've got our first row of purple ones going all the way across. So we've got, comes through, comes out, comes down, comes through. So the hoop is right here, right? Kind of curves around. And your beads are being laced around the hoop. Like so. So you're threading. So this will be, let's see, this will be the knot, and that's the tail. So this is the first row. Wait, that's not the tail because we're already past that part. We're on the end of that row. So I'm gonna get rid of that. You're gonna end up like this. That's how you're gonna end up on your second row. Your needle is on this end, right? So in order to start again, you put your 2 beads on. So the 2 beads will be going on like so. So never mind that now. Here's your beads and your needle. So then you skip that loop and you come through this loop and up through it again, and then through that second bead. And then you need to go through the first bead and come through the second bead, and then go over to that third purple one, come back up, and then go through that second bead. That was very confusing. So if I draw it without showing the action, it's going to look like this. Pretend these are the loops that go through. You're going to have one bead here, one bead there. These are going to be looped, looped. And these are popping up. Okay, this is going to come through here. It's going to come through here. So it's going to come and then back up through here. So you got that little zigzag just to get back up to where you need to be. So the second row has come through the second, third, and then up. All right, I hope that didn't confuse you too much. But yeah, seeing it done in person helps. Yeah, go back onto the video and you can rewatch it and rewatch it. Stop it and start it. And then the third row is the exact same way as the second row. You put on 2 beads, go through the second loop, and then work your needle and thread back down in to set up that first bead because it tends to want to go sideways and do the zigzag thing. And you can go back to front or front to back as well. It doesn't matter if you bring your needle through the front to the loop and go to the back. It's all in preference. I've always pulled my stuff towards me. So I'm pointing my needle towards me and pulling. It's just that if you do it the other way, you're having to flip your work around in order to see what you're doing when you have to come poke your needle back through the bead. It looks the same, it does the same thing. So let me show you. Got my needle on, I'm gonna go poke through the front to the back. Oh, this is hard. I have to go slowly with this. Okay, it's doing the same thing. And what I'm doing is I'm coming from the back. Now I'm kind of being blind because I don't know where the hole is. So I'm going to flip it in order to see that bead. I have to go up through and then pull it. And it does the same exact thing. So whatever is easiest for you. Now, when I was doing the first purple roll, remember how I told you how I held my hoop? I put my pinky there and my thumb there so I wouldn't flip-flop. I don't have to do that for the second row, it seems, because I don't have to hold my needle in place and have the bead stay in place. It automatically stays in place if I just go through the loop. My bead's not going anywhere and the hoop's not going anywhere. So second row, you can probably hold on to it differently. Just play around with it, see which way is most comfortable, and pretty soon when you get to the knack of it, you can really go quickly. That was just a reminder, I have 10 minutes left before I have my other session, so I'll wrap it up in a little while. Anyone else have any other questions or comments or observations?
I have a question, Janice.
Yeah.
Now, you said that there was a way, if you didn't cut your thread, if your thread isn't long enough, how do you do another thread?
Oh, good question. What I would do is I would tie the knot. I haven't done it on this yet, but what I normally do is I tie one piece onto another piece, and the knot can be here, the knot can be there, you know, just kind of get it kind of close. So then then you just keep beading, and you're going to have these two strings because you're going to have two tails. That eventually you will take your needle off and put it on one string and work your tail through, and then cut it close to the beading. And then you take that needle off and you put it on the other tail, and then you work that tail through any way you want. There's no pattern. There's really no set way of doing it, just so you can cut it away from where the knot is. So I'm afraid to show this on this one because it might mess me up, but I think I'll do it anyway. I'm just going to have a short one here. So I will take, I took my needle off. This is my long one I'm still working on, but it's like, oh, I'm getting to the end and I need another string. So you take another long string and you just tie it together onto the first one. So I'm going to go like this and make sure that this tail right here is longer than this, because this is the one that you've got to work back through. So pull it out a little bit more. And wrap it again so you can make a knot. And I like to hold on to all four strings and then just knot it. And you got like a four-way section here. Two of them are tails. Three of them are tails actually at this point now. And then you've got your extra long one that you're going to put your needle back on. This is the one you're going to continue to work with. And the other ones are just going to dangle. They're just going to be there. Eventually, this knot is going to be in one of the beads. As you're beading, you're going to get to that part. It'll probably end up way down over here. And it's going to hide itself. When it does get way down over here, you still got to contend with your tail, right? That's when you take your needle off and you put it on that tail, and you just work it into your beads that are already on there, and then clip it off somewhere. Because you don't want to clip it off right at the knot. Keep that tail long, put your needle on it, and work it back through the beads you just did until you get, I don't know, maybe 6, 7 beads back, and then clip it as tight as you can next to the beads, and it'll work its way back into the beads and you won't even see the tail. Does that make sense? So you're going to have another tail too. That other second tail is going to be the same thing. You're going to put your needle on it and work that through, back through the same beads. That's why having a thinner thread will let you be able to go through beads multiple times. Anyone else have any other way that they've done this before? There are so many different ways that people add on threads. This is how I learned, and this is how I do it. Look at that. I took the knot out. All you got to do is push the thread together, like towards each other, and the knot comes right out. I didn't pull it that hard too, though.
I am so impressed because I can never do that, Janice.
This is nice beading thread. It's stiff. It's can be quite slippery, and it works good. It cooperates when you want to get knots out. All right. So let's see. I think I'm going to wrap things up here. Does anyone want to quick show us how far you got on your beading if you're working on this project right now? You don't have to share, but oh, Let me get my gallery view up. Nice. Great. I'm glad to see everyone is catching on. Go back and watch the second row part if you're still confused. I did it a couple of times. Stop it and start it and re-watch it as many times as you need to. Hopefully it will make sense and be clear. Okay. All right. I'm looking forward to the finished pieces. I will show you how to do your tail. In the beginning, I made that knot around there, so I got this tail I'm still contending with. That's going to be there all the way up till you're finished. So I'll show you how to hide that, and I'll show you how to finish the ending, how to knot it and hide it as well. So if you can get as far as you can by finishing all 3 rows on your 2 earrings, when we get back, I'll show you how to get rid of the tails and how to finish it off. And then I'll also show you some other techniques like with trying those up, down patterns like this with the missing space in there. Okay, great. Thanks. It's so good to see everyone. You're all good learners. And I hope that you have some nice time breathing and beading and enjoying this project.
So thank you so much, Janice.
Thanks, Janice.
You're welcome. Poso.
Also,
Not again.
So Luann and Janice.